also the president of Masters and Legends. On my extreme left is David Nyati. You know David Nyati has from the class of '96. He's a member of the technical committee, and of course, Jack Maluleka is the chair of the technical committee. So we ask Jack Maluleka just to start to give you where they started and how we came to where we are today to announce the name of the coach. So if you can just give us an overview of the process.
Praten, if you can hear me, we are about to start. Yeah, thank you.
It was not easy as people thought it was. We got people that we never thought they would be interested in this job of Bafana. However, the committee has done well. We worked around the clock, and unfortunately during that time we were also reading on the papers that for the first time we had these terms that the front runners, the middle fingers and so forth. However, as the technical committee, we are governed by the policies of the organizations, and we have the criteria that we have also make sure that we align ourselves with those criteria to get a proper coach for this country. And we are proud today that after the process that we have taken through, you'd remember last week also, we have a meeting of NEC where we have given the NEC 5 names, and the CEO as the head of administration was tasked to be engaged on contractual issues with those coaches. And immediately after he was done with that process, he came back to the technical committee, because all those names that we brought forth, we felt that there are coaches that might be relevant to the organization in terms of our vision. And today we are proud to announce that this morning we presented our recommendation to the NEC of a name that he's going to be the head coach of Bafana. And we are proud to say that the NEC has agreed with the name of Hugo Bruce to be the Bafana Bafana head coach. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. So the name of Hugo Bruce was presented to the NEC, and it was unanimously agreed upon by the national executive members of the South African Football Association, and they are all here. So it was a unanimous decision and endorsing the recommendation from the technical committee. I don't know if anyone wants to add. Can you get Hugo Bruce on there? I'll just give them opportunity, Mr. David Nyati. Any additional comments? These are members of the technical committee. We want to be back there where you were in '96. Any comments of the process and the coaches that you've looked at, and the fact that your recommendation has now been endorsed and Hugo Bruce have been announced? Hugo Bruce, as you may know, is a coach who won the AFCON in 2017 with Cameroon, where he started building a new team and a young team. And that team, of course, won the 2017 AFCON. Any comments, Mr.?
Okay.
Can you start?
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chairperson of the Technical Committee. Mr. President, all I just want to say is that I just wanted to thank the people of South Africa for the patience in anticipation of who's going to lead South African football going forward as a coach. We had a very, very challenging process whereby we had to deliberate to find a suitable candidate that will lead Bafana Bafana forward. And as the chairperson has said, that this morning we have brought the recommendations to the NEC. And thank God, I'm glad that as we're sitting here today, we will all be relieved as South Africans that Bafana Bafana will have a very highly qualified coach, a knowledgeable coach who's got vast experience in African football that can see our mission going forward. That is all that I can add, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Buddha Matata. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, President, and good afternoon. Truth be told, that we as South Africans are a winning nation, and we set very, very high standards. I'm sure it's a known fact that this country has produced one of the best coaches on this continent, and his graduation started at SAFA. He was given an opportunity by the South African Football Association to work within the structures of SAFA as an assistant. He worked with Carlos Alberto Pereira from Brazil. He learned and acquired skills, foreign, for lack of a better word, international skills that he's using today as a coach of one of the biggest teams and a successful team on the continent. We also had coaches like Steve Kompela, who worked for the Federation and also worked with experienced coaches, an international coach like Stuart Baxter. And he acquired a lot of experience and knowledge around international football. And we admit as SAFA that in the past we have made mistakes, so we didn't want this time to make the same mistakes. That is why we went for a reputable coach with African experience, so that we can emulate what we did with Coach Pizzo and map the way forward going forward. In fact, one of the highlights in Hugo's Bruce presentation was that he wants to work with young stars, with the youth, so that they are the future. So that was a compelling argument from Hugo Bruce to say he wants to start there and work with the youth. And we also know that our under-23, the Olympic team, has qualified for the Olympics and are going for the Olympics. So it's a perfect opportunity for him to work around or build with that team going forward. And as the technical committee, we are confident that we have recommended to the NEC the right candidate for the Bafana Bafana post. Thank you, President.
Thank you. Can we, can you get Hugo Bruce? I think you want to hear from the coach now. Can you get him online there?
We're just waiting for him to come.
Hello, coach.
Hello.
Hello. Coach.
Hello, do you hear me? Yes, hello.
Yeah, put the mic here. Hello, coach.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes, I hear
Yeah.
you very well.
We are in a press conference now. We have just announced you as the coach of the senior national team of South Africa, Bafana Bafana. We have all the journalists here. If you can just tell us, in terms of the job, the rebuilding of the team, what are your thoughts at this time?
First of all, I have to say that I'm very proud and very happy to be the new coach
You can hear.
of South Africa. It's always been a country in which I would like to work, and today we are there. So I'm very happy and proud to be there. Secondly, the information that I get the last weeks and the analysis that I made, I know that for the moment I think it's the moment to rebuild the new team in South Africa. I was a little bit surprised when I saw the selection of the last games, that there were such a lot of players of Turkey and more. So I think we have to rebuild the team, a younger team, and why a younger
To get him
team.
on the phone
If
and speak to the
take the
phone.
example of Cameroon, I did the same there. You know, when you work with young players, they are motivated, they are hungry to show something. And I was a player when I was 30 years and older. You know, motivation is less. You're happy that, for example, you are with the national team, but the motivation and the hunger is less. So I think after South Africa was not qualified for Africa next year, that this is the moment to start and rebuild a new team, a younger team, who will have some difficulties now in the next games to qualify for the World Cup, but you will be ready maybe to play an important role 1 year later in Africa. And I think that has to be the goal for us the next months. For me, it's very important that I can come to South Africa as soon as possible, and that I can have meetings with my South African assistant, because he has all the information I need from home. Yeah, we look also several games South Africa played in last month. With all that, we will make analyze what we have to do and what this team needs. There were some things that for me were a little bit surprising. For example, in the games for qualification for Africa, I saw that it was very difficult for that team to play the nil, so not to receive a goal. I think in every game except against Sao Tome, but the other games they received every time a goal. Secondly, in different games they received the goal in the beginning of it. So there are some things I remarked when I saw a little bit the figures of the last game. So this is something also we have to work on. But there are many other things. And again, I will try to be there next week and to have meetings and to see what we have to do in the next month. We will do everything to be qualified for the World Cup next year. But it can be a deception if we don't, because when you are starting to rebuild the team, it needs time. So it will be a great opportunity for this young team to have to play those games, to see what it is to play in this level. So it will be a very good time.
He's asking if the media can ask the coach questions. Can the media ask the coach questions?
Well, actually, the World Cup. But again, for me, the most important thing is what happens after this World Cup, AFCON, and much further, and the World Cup of 26.
Thank you very much. You've heard the coach indicating he will be in the country next week. I'm sure then you can meet him, ask him in more detail what exactly his plans are for the rebuilding of the team, and also any questions you may have. The issue now is, Coach, can you hear us? Hello, Coach? Hello? Yeah, he can hear you. If there are any questions now, one or two questions, of course, we don't have the ideal connection with him. The other questions you can raise when he's here next week. Yes.
Thanks. SAFA from ENC.
Hold on, SAFA.
Must I come through?
No, hold on.
We'll take the question to them.
Thank you, Coach. In terms of your technical team,
Go ahead.
in terms of your technical team, have you decided on it yet? Because obviously, I'm sure most of the South African players, you don't know them.
Can you repeat it, because I didn't understand it?
Yeah.
I'm saying your technical team, Coach, have you decided on who they are going to be, as in like your assistant coaches?
We cannot hear you from here.
Yeah. I think it's a bit problematic. He says he can't hear you, but those are matters that when he comes, and we will ask him to come early next week, he will not only give you his technical team, but the full plan leading up to the preparation of the team, to the qualification of Qatar 2022 and beyond. Any other question?
There's another question here, President.
Yeah, but I think you will have to repeat him maybe. He cannot hear when we ask questions. Yeah, I think you will have to repeat on the computer. But my question is, there were very advanced discussions for Coach Bruce to lead the team of Congo. What happened that changed his decision so suddenly?
Well, of course, we have to deal with the coach that has been dealt with by the technical committee, and we are not privy to anything else other than the technical committee dealing with the coach. So we cannot help you to tell you what happened or may have happened with any other country.
And my question was for Mr. Bruce.
Okay? No, when he comes next week, you can ask him that question, but we are appointing him, and we are happy with our process with him. He has never raised what you are raising now. We've also seen that in the media, but we obviously cannot comment on things that we don't know about. Is there any other question? Yeah, there's, yes, Mr. Jotima.
In the absence of a microphone, I'll just ask.
It is the microphone, John.
Where, to,
Dr. Jordan, I might have missed this, but can you confirm the length of the contract? And
Sure.
also just in terms of the qualifiers, there's a report that they're starting in September instead of June. Is that true? That the World Cup qualifiers are starting because CAF want them to start later.
Yeah. Well, we're waiting on final confirmation from CAF, but that is what the thinking is at the moment, that the qualifications will start in September and not in June, but we'll wait for CAF to officially confirm that.
The first question from John, the President, was that how long is the contract? That was his first question.
No, but we just announced we have discussion because it's not just the length of the contract. Ideally, as we said before, it's 2022, 2023 AFCON, 2026 World Cup. But when it comes, it must be interspersed with certain targets. So those are all matters that the CEO will sit down with him and finalize with him. We've indicated to him, as he has indicated, one of the things that he has mentioned is that a high percentage of the current team are players of 30 and above, and there is a need to rebuild the team and therefore look at the opportunity that the country has now to go to the Olympics and looking at younger players and build the team. But at the same time, the nation wants to win also. That is obvious to him, and he says those are details that he will have to discuss with you. He will present his plans to you and his thinking, his technical team, and you will then have the opportunity to subject all of those presentations to scrutiny, to questions, and your own interrogation when he comes. So we will try to get him here as soon as possible so that he can meet you.
Since we will have a press conference next week, President, with the coach, let's just have 2 more questions and then we'll close the
Yeah, okay. 2 more questions and then we'll close.
2 more. I'll take from newsroom and yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Minentle Flela from Newsroom Africa. Just leading up to this press conference, there were announcements that, you know, deals were done, things were managed. As the media, I remember 28th of April, we were supposed to come through, it was cancelled. Just the clarity of what happened then and why those coaches, those negotiations fell apart. And secondly, you're saying you're not, sorry, Mr. President, it's not specific if it's a 4-year contract or 3-year contract. So is it, what kind of contract is it? Performance-based? Is it targeted? If you don't qualify specific tournaments, it doesn't happen? Can you just clarify that for us?
On the question of negotiations that have fallen apart, we don't know of such negotiations. This is the first time that we announce the coach that has gone through the process. The final decision makers on this process is a final recommendation from the technical committee to the NEC. It only happened today, never happened before. So there's no other negotiation that fell apart. You indicate the difficulty. What is the difficulty? And it is known to you. We are at a stage where some of the coaches who are connected to clubs, whether here in Europe or anywhere else, they are coming to the end of their season. It's like trying to transfer a player now. It's very difficult because all clubs are saying, I want to be first, I want to be in the top 8, I want to win the league. And therefore, there are those issues that clubs' interests must also be considered and the coaches' interests. On their list, as I said, they had 201 coaches. Finally, they have to work through it because it's not the executive's role to deal with those issues. It is their role. And they must bring the name that is unencumbered, that we can announce with you to say, this is a coach, there is a coach. The coach must confirm in your presence, yes, I'm accepting, I'm coming. I'm ready to work. And that's the only name we put to you. The other names, of course, every day there was a different name. It didn't come from the national executive of SAFA. None of those names.
On the second part, just clarity.
We indicated to you, one, there's a rebuilding of the team, which is a key priority. A rejuvenation of the team. We said, you must remember, that in 2010, Bafana didn't qualify for AFCON. In 2012, Bafana didn't qualify for AFCON. In 2013, Bafana didn't qualify for AFCON. The only basis on which we played in the 2013 AFCON was on the basis that we were the host, and you know that. When this executive was elected into office, it came with what was called Vision 2022. And central to that is a few key requirements in rebuilding Bafana Bafana. One, under 17, under 20 teams must begin to qualify for AFCON and World Cup. That was achieved. The under 20 team, as you know, went to under 20 World Cup in Korea, the under 20 World Cup in Poland, and the under 2021 World Cup is cancelled. The under 17, those boys who started under 17 World Cup, went to under 20 World Cup, went to the under 23 Olympics in Rio, and now is going to the under 23 Olympics in Tokyo. So for the first time, you have a pool of players like the Brazilian players who now are sitting between 50 and 70 international caps already when they are in the Tokyo Olympics. So there is a pool of players that we want to see, that players must not have its first cap at senior level in Bafana. We have achieved that. The second thing that we've achieved is to say we have to place more players overseas. Overseas big clubs are not signing out of our top leagues into the top league in Europe. It doesn't happen. What must you do? Place younger players so that they can graduate into the Premier Leagues in England and Portugal and Germany and so on. We have 65 players playing in Europe. 65. In the last Sudan match, only one player, Percy Tau, and two others who were on the bench, Luther Singh and Lyle Foster, was there. But the other players didn't come because FIFA took a decision that because of COVID-19, European clubs need not to release the players. But those players are there. So what we said to Bruce, here is a list of future Bafana players, 65 of them. 2 of them are on the verge of getting into the Premier League teams in England. 6 are playing in Primeira Liga in Portugal, and others are graduating in the top leagues in Europe. Then you have a team that's going to the Olympics in a very tough group, but there you have a base for the building of the Bafana team. So that is one key issue, and it's not that we're giving him nothing. We're giving them players who went to 2 under-20 World Cups, 2 consecutive Olympics, under-17 World Cup. These are the players. So the rebuilding of the team is a key. The second thing is that we are going to look at 2022 World Cup, 2023 AFCON, 2026 World Cup. Now you know the 2026 World Cup, between 9,5 or 10 African teams will go to the 2026 World Cup. Not only we want to qualify, but to have a competitive team that can go to the knockout stages. These are the things that we place before him. He will devise a plan around that, but that requires a discussion, which will happen when he comes next week. So I hope you understand where we are going. And our team going to Tokyo is a significant part of that rebuilding process. And you know, they are playing against France. There's Mbappe will probably be in the French team. And it will be a good experience and a good test for just how good are these young players. And those who've seen them playing in the qualification in Egypt, they beat Ghana, Senegal, there to qualify. Because, you know, 54 countries play off for 3 places in the Olympics. And we are one of those 3 going to the Olympics. So those players have shown us they can compete at their age category on the African continent. And they are in the top 3 on the continent out of 54 countries. So the base, as far as we are concerned, is there. So I hope you understand where we want to go.
Before we take the
last question.
Before we take the last 2 questions, President, we have the SABC COO amongst us, Mr. Ian Plakis, and we would like to just say something congratulating SAFA on the appointment of the new coach. Mr. Plakis.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Sure, you can come here, Mr. Plakis.
Okay.
Welcome everybody, and Mr. President and your new coach and the team. Congratulations to the new coach. We wish you well, and you definitely have our support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That doesn't count as a question, so there's last question. Thank you very much, SABC, and thank you very much, Mr. Plakis.
Sorry, can I just, we came here at 1 o'clock for the announcement, and the announcement was made without our presence and without notice. For 20 minutes we waited, and now we're being limited to questions until next week. Is that not?
Okay, ask your question. There's one more question, so ask your question. Give him a chance, he will give you the mic back. Because he waited very long, he tells us.
Simple.
So
let him ask first, please.
Give him the mic, and then the mic must be given back to him.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It's a pleasure.
Just from the technical, the National Technical Committee, did they consider? I know the CEO announced 5 years on SABC. I know you've disputed that and said the negotiations will continue. But has it been considered that I think this is the oldest coach we've appointed as Bafana coach so far, 69 years old, and with a 5-year deal that takes him to his 74th birthday. Was that a consideration at all? And then just secondly, the previous coach, Mr. President, you were obviously absent when it was announced that his contract has been terminated. Has there been any resolution to that termination and his dispute with SAFA? Is he going to be within the national team setup going forward?
No, firstly, there is no dispute between SAFA and the former coach. There's no such thing. Secondly, we are here to announce our new coach. And therefore, we said we will engage him. If there are questions that's urgent that you must ask now and cannot wait until the coach comes, that's why we say we gave him your mic to raise those questions. So there is no dispute or a contradiction. We said the key targets is 2022. It's just different language. 2022 Qatar, 2023 AFCON, 2026 World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. As far as the age of coaches is concerned, Zagallo, you know Zagallo, Brazilian coach, you know how old he was. Coaches are more experienced, and he is very experienced, if you can get that kind of coach. And there are many countries that appoint 70-year-old coaches. He's not 70. and you look at the number of coaches. Look at there is a rank list of coaches in the world. Go and see the top 20 coaches on that rank list of coaches and see the ages. Most people will say they are experienced. So I don't want to engage in those kind of issues, but we are happy. He's healthy, he's fit, he can run, he can coach, and he's fine. And therefore his experience. If he can't walk anymore, he's short of breath, then he's old.
Thank you, President.
I'd like to direct to Mr. Mamuleka. I think, when you in your opening remarks, you did say that, you submitted the name of Mr. Igor Bruce this morning. So was there no process so when exactly did you tell him that he's now the official coach of Bafana? I think is that one of the reasons why he's not here today, because he was being made or known of the decision today, this morning. And his plans, when did he tell you his plans, what he wants to do with Bafana, for him to be the best candidate that you guys want to go forward with? Thank you.
You want to answer? Well, I think we explained the process to you. The process was simply this. They engaged the coaches, including engaging Bruce. Bruce presented his plan to them. They then said they're going to recommend Bruce to the NEC, which happened today, which the NEC endorsed today. But when did Bruce know? Bruce must have known. When did you engage him? When he made the presentation to you. So that may be a few days ago. Bruce made a presentation to the technical team. I was not there. None of the executive members are there because he can't make a presentation to us. He must make it to the technical committee, which he did. So he must have known that SAFA is engaging me. They asked me to make a presentation to present my plans. I did so. They had a discussion with them, asked them questions, and at the end said, well, we'll make the recommendation to the NEC, which happened this morning. And we did tell you that the NEC will meet today. They will make the recommendation today. And we did say the NEC will make the decision today. That's why we are here, to say we did make the decision, and their recommendation was accepted unanimously that Bruce is the coach. There's extra time.
No, Mansepo, you've asked it already. Okay, I will take two last questions.
You make extra time, man.
Thank you. Tepo from ENCA. Thanks, Mr. President, for making at least now finally we know who the coach is. But in terms of why, because it looked chaotic, why was the announcement to us delayed, whereas we were seeing outside, I mean, it was all over? Why was that? Was there a particular reason?
But we are here to answer and
no, because
make the presentation.
No, you know why I'm asking? Because we had to wait for the announcement of a coach, whereas some people outside already know. So why was that?
No. I don't know what is the issue that you are raising. We said we're going to present, and we are here, we're presenting. So don't...
President, if I may interject there. I think it's the point that we were all called here as media houses, but there was one specific media house that was able to go live ahead of all the other media houses. And the story was out before all the other media
Well, I cannot answer that question. I was here.
Yes, I think what you're trying to say is that we feel it is respected.
No, you are no.
Just to come in there, I mean, President, I don't work for you, but I work with you. I think in your defense, you were also surprised the way I looked at you, how you jetted out here, because you were already sitting waiting for this, and then you saw on Twitter that the coach has been announced.
let us investigate the matter, and we'll come back to you.
I think Mr. President, like what the guys are trying to say is, it should never happen again.
No, it will not happen again. That I can guarantee you. And you are correct. I was here with you.
I saw you. I
so
observed you.
let us say to you.
I'm not in your defense. I'm just
no,
saying
no, no.
that you were shocked as I was.
Well, I know you even can describe my emotions, but what I can say, it will not happen again, because when you call journalists and you say it's 1 o'clock, it must be 1 o'clock. You can't let the journalists wait. You have deadlines also. You also want scoops and be there when the news breaks. Otherwise, it's history that you're reporting. You understand those issues, so it will not happen again.
Thank you, President.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. Good afternoon.
It's finished. Thanks. Oh,